times need a critical solution.
Critical Times, Attic here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
We turn now to news from Iraq, where an official audit by the US Special Investigator for Iraq Reconstruction found that the Pentagon cannot account for almost $9 billion taken from Iraqi oil revenues between 2004 and 2007 for use in reconstruction. The report comes amidst continuing Iraqi concerns that 7 years since the U.S.-led invasion, the billions of dollars pumped into reconstruction have failed to rebuild the country's ravaged infrastructure. Meanwhile, a new medical study has found dramatic increases in infant mortality, cancer, and leukemia in the Iraqi city of Fallujah, which was bombarded by U.S. Marines in 2004. The rates of infant mortality and cancer exceed those reported by survivors of the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945.
According to the report, there's been a 4-fold increase in all cancers and a 12-fold increase in cancer in children under the age of 14. Infant mortality in Fallujah is more than 4 times higher than in neighboring Jordan, 8 times higher than in Kuwait. The report says the types of cancer are, quote, similar to the Hiroshima survivors who were exposed to ionizing radiation from the bomb and uranium and the fallout. Well, for more on Iraq, we're joined now on the phone by veteran journalist Patrick Cockburn, Middle East correspondent for the London Independent, author of several books on Iraq. Patrick, welcome to Democracy Now! Let's begin with the billions that are missing. Where are they from and what happened to them?
Well, they came ultimately from Iraqi oil revenues. They were in a fund held by the UN called which is the Fund for Iraqi Development, what I find extraordinary about this is that this happened 2004 to 7. This was happening well after we knew that fraud had been occurring everywhere. But even then, there seems to have been no auditing. Money was just spent. Nobody quite knew where it went. So there seems to have been a free-for-all with Iraqi funds, really up to quite recently.
And Patrick, this is really astounding given the amount of attention that Congress and the U.S. government devoted to where the money went in the oil for food program of Iraq before the U.S. invasion. And now we find that with the United States government directly involved, there's still questions about where did the oil money go.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You know, that the oil for food, the money, I mean, Saddam's government was trying to conceal where the money was. The purpose of sanctions was to deny the government money. But the U.S. government didn't want to conceal it, and yet it doesn't seem to know where it is. And you know, no country in the world needs more investment than Iraq. One of the extraordinary things is not just that money was stolen, but, you know, how was the money which was accounted for really spent? I often go up to my roof of my hotel in Baghdad and look around the skyline, and there are no cranes to be seen. So I wonder, you know, these billions of dollars, $53 billion alone voted by the U.S. Congress, where did they go and what was built with them?
I mean, it's truly incredible. This is 95% of the fund that's unaccounted for, and this came after, as you point out, the scandal of where money went was a result of fraud and corruption, if people remember, years ago here in the United States.
Sure, no, exactly. I mean, it's, you know, in the first year after the occupation, the guys in charge of the money could defend themselves by saying, look, there was complete confusion. We just moved in. We didn't know what was happening. And, you know, it's not wholly convincing. But, you know, there was a case that's how billions of dollars couldn't be accounted for. But this was much later on, that there was still a free-for-all with Iraq's money, and nothing was, either it was stolen or nothing was being done with it.
Patrick, I'd like to ask you about this whole other issue of the report on by Chris Busby and some other epidemiologists about the situation in Fallujah and the enormous increases in leukemias and cancers in Fallujah after the U.S. soldiers' attack on that city. Could you talk about that?
Sure. I think what's significant, very significant about this study is that it confirms lots of anecdotal evidence that there'd been a serious increase in cancers, in babies being born deformed. I mean, sometimes with grotesquely so, babies, baby girl born with two heads, people born without limbs. Then a whole range of cancers increased enormously. That when I was in Fallujah, doctors would talk about this, but one couldn't